The whole business of darkness and light, the whole business of destruction and creation,
Hmm.
the whole business of contrast, the whole business of depression versus elation, all the pairs of opposites that we experience in mind is
Hmm.
really what the science of mind is about. So I'm going to ask you to talk about the contrast between what appears to be devastation in parts of our country and people in despair versus gathering in celebration of a light that is eternal and joyful. Where do we make the connection? And I have my own ideas about all this, but the whole business of gathering as a group to me is to take on as a community
Hmm.
this idea of prayer. And I've gotten involved in a group called Power of Eight, where it's been discovered scientifically that praying for others causes more beneficial effects in the person praying than it actually does in the subjects that are prayed for. And so there's an awesome power here that may not yield itself to ordinary inquiry. And so I'm super glad you're here because I love you, Jackie, and
Thank
we like to talk about these kind of
We do.
things.
Yeah.
And anybody wants to sign up for prayer, don't forget.
Oh, that's right. Don't forget to and you know, Bob, there was one thing I would add to what you said this morning about the miracle moment. If there's good things going on in your life and you just want more of the good things that are going on in your life, you want to be open to more. Spiritual mind treatment helps with that too. It's because what it is, it's a knowing of truth. It's not a petition to some God out there. It's opening your own mind um, to knowing truth about yourself, or about the person of whom you are praying about. I'm taking it, Bob, that what you wanted me to talk about was this contrast of devastation and versus so in my mind it's interpreting, so where is God in all of that? What my personal experience, I'd like to speak from my own personal experience as much as I can. There's a I don't want to say an anniversary, but there's a day coming in a couple of days here, um, that was a devastation for a lot of Connecticut, and in particular for Sandy Hook. And I lived in Bethel, which is the next town over from Newtown, heading west. And it hit really hard. I know people who were directly impacted by that, and people who had been teachers there and things. And what I saw in devastation like that was, and actually the parents of the children were an incredible example. They grieved and still grieve their children and the loss of that life, but they also saw the light that their children were, the light that their children still are. For there was so much love that poured into Sandy Hook at that, though, over those next weeks and months. And there's so much good that has come from that. It doesn't, from a human standpoint, it doesn't take away the pain and the grief of what happened. But there are the money that poured in, the oh my God, there were so many stuffed animals. There was like a warehouse full of stuffed animals that got sent as memorials that now are the got turned into the insulation in the walls of the new school. But so when we see this kind of devastation, like what has happened in I think it was in Kentucky and Illinois and the Midwest and southern southeastern areas, the first thing we do is understand the pain that those people are going through. Be the listener, sending that love, being that one that knows whether I can see it in this moment or not right now, God is there. Somehow God is there. And just as Gary had us do at the beginning of this, pour that love into it. Focus your attention on that. And what happens is, as Anne pointed out, the universe starts to conspire. The universe conspires to help, not to help, but to bring that expression of God, of goodness, of joy, of beauty, of peace. It works, it conspires to bring that out. Now, you don't go and tell someone who's just had their house torn apart by a tornado, oh, wow, look, you're going to get a new house out of this. You don't go and tell. That's not, because that's not it. What's going to happen is there will be some goodness that's going to come in and fill that, whether it's a new house or a new life or whatever it is. There will be something to come in. Something will fill that void. And what I need to do is allow that person to be in whatever grief they're in, but know this truth. Not try to convince them of the truth. It's not the time to try to convince them, but it's the time to just be that loving presence, whether I'm physically there or whether I'm 1,000 miles away. Just be the holder of that. I don't know if that answers your question, Bob, but that's what's coming to me. That's what's being downloaded right now.